Oh, yeah, they still make that stuff. Yep.
Is stuff to interject? Gotcha, gotcha. But I'll know if and when, right? Is the mayor going to be here? Is the mayor going to stay? Good morning, Miss Scott. Good afternoon. It's noon. As vice chair, in the absence of a chair, I'm calling to order the special meeting today of the Historic Preservation Board. Ms. Wallentine, are there persons who've asked to speak?
I do not have any cards here.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes, and we have approval of 2 minutes, a June 7 meeting and a June 13 meeting, one of which was a special call meeting. Do I have any comments, questions, or concerns from my other board members?
No.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that the minutes from June 7th, 2022 and June 13th, 2022 be approved.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Second item is to receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request to paint and add vinyl window signage at 325 West Main.
Okay, the applicant wants to paint their storefront, which they have done, and to add vinyl window signage. It was pointed out to me that I can approve the vinyl window signage. I can't approve the paint because they chose a different color, but there was the flexibility that we had previously that was added into that. And this is the vinyl window signage. And they are painting a snowbound, crushed ice, and black fox. Yeah. Dude, I'm sorry, I thought we had a picture of it finished.
That was my question. Do we know what they're painting, everything?
It's
Do we have a picture?
It's
of the whole-
finished,
Oh, okay.
and I just didn't get a picture of it.
It was finished without approval.
Yes.
The upper portion is snowbound. That lower portion, that rock-looking facade is the crushed ice, and then the trim and the door is all the black
Okay, I didn't
fox.
have a chance to show that today.
So then, shall we have, Ms. Wallentine, a motion to approve the vinyl but not the paint? What do you wish?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're good. A certificate of appropriateness has been applied to the vinyl. Good morning, how are you?
Yeah,
Good
but-
morning, I'm sorry I'm late.
Do you have a picture of the building? I didn't,
Right now,
yeah.
let's see.
Is that all you need to see, is the picture of what it looks like now?
I can go take it, come back, I don't have one with me. I have just the bottom part. Oh, I have a video. This has it all.
That'll work. Okay, so that's everything between.
Yes.
She has a front row view.
First hand look.
I'm sorry I'm late. We were doing some stuff over there and somebody goes, well, I knew you had a meeting at 12. I was like, I have a meeting at 12. And I just left them and I came running over here.
I think the building looks great.
Thank you.
I have major concerns about it having proceeded without the approval of this board. I'd like for you to address that, please.
Without I'm sorry,
The painting having proceeded without the approval of this board, and I'd like for you to address that.
yes, and that's partially my fault. The new building owners are not 100% familiar with how everything is run down here. And whenever I told them that I was going to pitch the painting with the vinyl, just to get both knocked out in one, I said, normally we know if there's going to be concern with the paint before we go in, because then they'll say, well, we need other paint colors. Some people from the city will. And I said, so I'll know if there's a problem with the colors before the meeting. In my mind, I said that we won't have to pick anything different. I think how they heard it was, well, we haven't heard any concern, so it's okay to do it. And so I think that was how the miscommunication was. But it was via text, and it was me and them talking whenever I said I would do this. So I apologize that actually got done before it was all officially approved. But it looks a whole lot better, doesn't it?
It looks, you know what, it looks great.
It
but
does.
That's not the significant issue.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's partially my fault, and that was something where, and I know the city's working on it now too. Being in another meeting, there was contractors that have talked about whenever you buy a house in an HOA, that you sign this is the do's and don'ts before. And so whenever you buy a property on Main Street, especially if you're not going through a realtor, if you're just going to the individual and buying it, you're going to closing or closing it, there's not a whole lot of do's and don'ts that you're allowed to do on Main Street. And so after kind of bringing that at the closing docs, at the title companies, and after visiting with some of the people from the city about it, that's one of the things that they're working on. And just so you know that this is what you shouldn't do before you're in the middle of doing it. And then because the painters were in the middle of doing it, and then somebody from the city said, hey, you shouldn't do that, we're shutting you down. And so that way that everybody knows before it's, we're shutting you down sort of thing. No, it's but that was just a recommendation on my part, because this is the building owners. I believe it's their first building. I know it's their first commercial spot, but I think it's their first building in historical part of Main Street.
Just out of curiosity, as a business owner tenant,
Yes.
do you feel any responsibility for the finished product of your building?
Yes. Because whenever somebody looks at that building, they're going to look at me. They don't know that the Grahams own the building.
And therefore, do you feel responsibility to the owner of the building for that person to be adequately informed if you know of ordinances, restrictions, or constraints?
Yes.
Do you feel that's the responsibility of the tenant or business owner?
Yes, as long as I've been on Main Street for 7 years and a part of a lot of different committees over the time, so I know a little bit more than others as far as what rules and regulations are, acceptable. Just like there's other businesses on Main Street that break protocol as far as the rules, and so they're uninformed. And some of them are just as simple as hanging signs out, because you can only hang out American flag, Texas flag, and on game day you can hang out the Denison flag. But there's certain flags you can hang out there, or other people might hang out open signs or different stuff like that. But not everybody's always familiar with all the rules and regulations. And so yes, it is something that the business owners should know a little bit more of. And then it is something that the city is working on right now to have videos and things so that we know, because the majority of businesses don't want to break the rules. We want to stay open. We want to do what's right. We want to do what's good. We want to bring customers in. And the majority of it that's done, 3-4 years ago, you could paint your windows. And because we had a girl that we paid $50 every month to come out here and paint something new on our small windows. And 3 or 4 years ago, that was acceptable. But today, I found out recently that you can't paint on your windows anymore, which, depending on the paint job, I approve of. But just something as simple as that has changed over the years. But I only knew about it in the last month, and I don't know how long ago that was changed.
Well, we welcome your success.
Thank you.
We welcome your continued success in your new business location. We welcome your sharing with other business owners and potential business owners that there are, in fact, constraints.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, the city, the staff, the mayor, the council, we're all working on ways to make the system both straightforward and clearer. because some people seem not to think it's as clear as it should be.
Yes.
Or that there are checks and balances along the way.
Yes.
And we are investigating checks and balances along the way. And it's good fortune that when your building was finished, the finished product was acceptable and was appropriate
Yes.
for our street. So in that regard, thank you. And thank you for your success. Thank you for your commitment to our city. To the extent that you can provide input along the street about what it means, what the responsibilities are to be a landowner or a tenant, a business owner in our historic district, I would
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yes, and and there's some things that we can and can't do because some people have money to add more stuff on there, and others are just scraping by. But I mean, I appreciate what the historical group's doing, and I appreciate what all y'all are inputs that y'all are giving. I would just like to see more of a uniform for everybody, but I really appreciate what y'all are doing with us all out here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the request to paint the facade at 325 West Main, case 2022-43H?
I move that, to approve the paint colors, crushed ice, snowbound trim in black, as for 325 West Main.
Thank you.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item on the agenda, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on the request to make changes to the rear facade at 327 West Main, case 2022-042H.
Did you say 327?
Pardon me?
327?
Yes.
Okay. The applicant removed the rear wall at 327, and they were requesting to add walls of steel frame glass windows as shown in the attachment. And that's what it looks like now. That's what it looked like before. And that's what it looked like mid. I think the owner is here and is willing to show some more information, tell some more information about it. I had the state architect look at it, and so that's what the information was about. In that, so he felt like it should go back like it was, and that's got detail in it, and then, that shows what it could look like.
If it were returned to its.
Yes, and the owner has some additional information to provide.
Once again, we're faced with a situation where we're asking approval for something that's already happened. And that causes a great deal of consternation, not only amongst this board, but amongst other people in our community. So I'd be happy to hear from the owner.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all?
State your name, please, and your address for the record.
Casey Shires, and
I'm Kevin Hempkins.
Thank you. Addresses, please?
addresses,
Yes, please.
327 Main.
309 West Main.
Thank you.
First, I want to, say we're sorry. We are very clear now on, just like the gentleman mentioned before, HP is no different than us getting with Miss Becky and getting a building permit. I
Was
think,
there a building permit?
yes, I'm
Was there a
saying,
building permit?
yes. And I'm saying with the process, it should be no different. And I think a lot of us didn't understand the impact of HP, and it's clear now. And just like him, if anybody's going to be an advocate for that, I will be. I'm from here, and I know what I spend on the building, and I get a professional architect, and so we want this to be an example of what others are going to have to do. like I told them, we're not just getting a draftsman, we're using a real architect to do the drawings. And so.
You mean to return it?
Yes, well, I'm not saying return it, no. I'm saying we're gonna use a real architect like we did to do drawings as we improve these buildings. So I know everyone's gonna be looking at my building, and so I wanna make it right.
Apropos to setting an example,
That's
you
right.
in fact have.
Yes, and I'm going to set an example.
You have.
Yes, ma'am, and we're not finished with
You
that.
set an example, however, that was a bad precedent.
And yes,
It's not
ma'am.
an example that you want others to repeat.
But where I'm gonna end up is, I hope that's the example I said, is gonna be the ones others are gonna wanna repeat. We're gonna get there. That's what we're here for, is we wanna get there to satisfy you guys' request on what you want this building to look like and be an example for other buildings around the community, on Main Street. We shouldn't have gone forward as we did, but like I said, I wasn't aware of the importance of HP, and it's no different than getting a building permit, is what I'm saying. You have to go through HP and get, just as you're getting a building permit, it's the same, it's no different. We're aware of that now. And I told the city, I was very vocal on saying, that needs to be more known. Because we do lots of buildings around the country, and we really know what we're supposed to do. And this one I wasn't aware of, as I should have been, on going through HP as we should have, and we're sorry for that. The last thing that I would have done is not gone through HP when I'm by far making the most investment in downtown Denison more than anybody. I'm investing over $20 million in Hotel Denison.
And we appreciate
And
that,
so,
Mr. Shires.
well, yes, and so I'm not gonna go upset the Historical Commission and hurt Denison, Texas on losing historical tax credit opportunities, especially with the building I'm doing. So obviously, I definitely wouldn't have not gone through the right accords here if I would have known better. And so we're sorry, and we're gonna make that right, or we hope you'll let us make that right. And so our proposal is, if you guys would let us get it, but it's already back to our architect, and we're gonna soften the building in the back, make it way more presentable, and add things to the look that you guys, I hope, that are gonna want it to be moving forward, to set a good example downtown for the back of a building. That's what we're wanting to do.
So then would you suggest that this be tabled until you return to us with some solution?
Yes, ma'am.
Because what's there now is not the solution.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. I would suggest you deny it, and we come back with really good drawings and go from there to what we hope y'all will be satisfied with, and if not, then we'll keep correcting it until you're happy.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
Yes.
Mr. Shires, you said you don't understand the importance of HP, but you're not new to this. You're not new to Main Street, and you've brought other properties of yours before this board before to be approved.
Sure.
So I'm not sure why you thought that was any different than these.
Can I
Yeah.
just, I gotta take responsibility for the nuts and bolts of this thing. It was my job site over here, and, so the discrepancy here was the amount of pages that go to the permitting office. This was one that was missing. So his architect, and I need to remind you, like I did these nice people earlier, this was a permitting process that went on during the COVID restrictions, where guys like me used to come in with their sets of plans, and they'd lay them out and talk to everybody. Well, like that, the upstairs was closed off, and everything had to be emailed. Well, I assume the pages that they handed me on the sidewalk were the same pages you got emailed, and we got permits for. And so evidently there was a discrepancy there, and the back wall was a big one. And so there may have been some other pages missing. I still haven't figured that out. But what he's being apologetic for me. I took on this job, and I did it based on the plans that this architect provided. And so Betty made me realize the other day that this needed a separate building permit. And we had been through HP for the front facade awning and paint, I believe. But anyway, neither one of us is trying to get around HP in any way. We want the same thing you want for Denison. And so this deal here, became a problem, it became known to me that it was a problem after it was a problem. And so to mitigate a space back there that wasn't safe, I had the steel ordered and I had the aluminum ordered and glass ordered. The best thing and the most economical and common sense thing for me to do at that point was to continue. And so not to thumb my nose up at HP or Betty in the building department, but just to keep the wheels turning for these guys that go to work every day. At that point, when Betty called me, I couldn't stop. I had to do something. And so, in his defense, it was all my decision back there. He didn't have anything to do with the decision to keep working. This was a product that we had from his architect from the beginning. I thought building department had it also. And so, you know, I really want the sentiment of us going around HP to be understood that, you know, if anybody in Denison is working with you guys, it's the two of us. You can look around at all of our projects, and there's nothing that we want more than the historical integrity to remain downtown. And so every conversation I've ever had with Kirsten about her building or any other ones, that's been the focus of them. And our track record speaks for themselves. And I want that to be understood before we go any further.
You are aware that the back facades are part and parcel of a contributing building.
Absolutely. And I'm confident that the removal of the freight door and the bars on the windows is going to be an improvement, and the improvements aren't going to stop. So whatever his architect comes up with is going to be a huge improvement that won't take away from the historical significance of the space, and it'll be more inviting to the people that's going to be down there. And so we want what you want.
Thank you, I hope so. Do I have a motion? To table?
I make a motion to table the renovations to the back of the building located at 327 West Main.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Donna?
So I was told that we need to recommend denial.
I think at this point, until I see some other solution, I would like to table it. It's kind of hard to deny something that already happened.
And he is going to, Betty pointed out that he's going to do lofts upstairs, and so the entries are going to have to be reconfigured anyway. So what
So
you
this whole
see-
process, I would suggest that all of those entries reconfigured come to us at the same time,
Perfect.
please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So the motion is to table, and the motion passed. Thank you, Ms. Long. The next item is to receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on the removal of drive-through structure and addition of one window opening at 331 West Main. Ms. Dow?
So the applicant put in their original application 3 windows on the front and 2 on the side. They did 4 windows on the front, and they would like to request removal of the drive-through structure at the back of the building. This is the initial proposal, and this is what they came up with. And then that's the drive-through structure that was removed. And it's not a historic structure at all, but it is in the downtown, so it's just recommended that we get approval for that as well. And the applicant is here to discuss.
My name is John Day. I live at 110 East Louisiana Street, Machine. And as we were renovating the building, the front of the building, we originally showed 3 windows. There was a steel column in the center, so we couldn't put the 3 windows. And so it made more sense to put 4 and pick up the symmetry and the better spacing. So we're asking for your approval. On the drive-through in the back, that was my mistake. I was not aware, first off, it's not a historic structure. I had a demolition permit, and my agreement with the city when I bought the building was to take that down. So I wasn't aware that I was supposed to come before here. So we did take it down, and it's an obsolete structure that is no longer needed, and I would appreciate your approval.
I'm not going to ask you to put it back up. However, we once again faced with a situation where something happened that was not in fact approved. Was there a building permit to remove that? Demolition permit to remove that?
I had a demolition permit.
So we had a discussion with the mayor for this, and he proposed a solution that we think would be good in this case. So like when he has to make minor changes like the windows, if he brings to me a reason, then I could even get temporary approval for him to continue the job, because he talked about how hard it is and to get contractors back. So that's something that will be discussed.
And Mr. Day, I have no aesthetic issues or problems with the facade having 4 windows. And I can understand structurally why that came to be a necessity on your part. So once again, we're looking at ways that we can help you facilitate things that seem to be pretty straightforward. And I know as a builder and developer of great success, you understand why we have that responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the removal of the drive-through structure and the addition of one window opening on the front facade of 331 West Main?
I make a motion that we approve the removal of the drive-through structure and the additional window opening on 331 West Main Street.
I second.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are they on? Okay, so this is the Whataburger case, and they've joined us virtually today. They were so good to come up, and we didn't have a quorum, and so we worked it out where they could attend virtually. They are requesting to paint exactly the same colors as in 2016, and they will be replacing some materials with the same materials. So I asked them if they could look at the door inside the fence. They're supposed to add a door, and that was the only question that I had. But they detailed everything accurately in their application. So, yeah. Thank you. So did y'all have any more questions
So
for
what we
me?
have here is basically a request to return the building to a more pristine condition.
Yes.
To bring
Just
it back
a
to what it was when
refresh.
it was freshly painted. Really refurbishment. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the same paint colors and materials to refresh the building at 231 South Austin.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a request to add an awning to 405 West Main.
This project has been before us several times, and the awning is going to be a metal structure. It would extend 3 foot 6 inches out and be aluminum and metal. And that's the building that it would go on. And that shows the structure of the awning. And it's going to be like that. And David Spindle is here to speak to it. Is that correct? You will.
If there's anything to be.
Good afternoon, Mr. Spindler.
David Spindle, 1307 South Lane. It's pretty self-explanatory. Hopefully it's the last time I see y'all on any of these buildings, other than maybe the dance studio. So again, it's pretty self-explanatory. It'll either be cables or steel rods or chains that'll be hanging similar to what's downtown, so.
Now, as we have expressed before, we like that sort of continuity.
Right, I understand. But, you know, it can also, anyways, it'll look good, so.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the awning at 405 West Main Street.
A second.
Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so this is a new construction at 226 West Main. It was on your agenda last week, and I didn't have the back elevation. And so they now have more information, including an art piece that was designed for the front. And I've got more information on the setback too. He feels like he needs 10 feet to accomplish everything he's going to accomplish. He doesn't have to have the 15 feet that was initially requested, but that's, I'll just let him tell about it and why he needs that. Oh, and it would also have the lines heads from the Waples Platter building. So he's able to incorporate those into the structure. And it would be a 50-foot building. The owl pole there next to Domino's is significant in this description, but I'll let him speak to that. Okay.
Donna, before you go, would you bring back the picture of the vacant lot?
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Don J. 110 East Louisiana, McKinney. The reason we want setback, there are really 3 reasons. First off, if you look in the picture, there is a column coming out of the building beside it, about 2 feet over on this property. When these old buildings were built, they used a low mortar cement. And the cement's mostly sand. And if you mess with this old brick walls, they will come down. I've had them fall. I don't want to touch that column. I want to move my building back at least 5 foot to be away from that one column to not disturb the building beside it. Secondly, since we're going to move it back, we wanted to add a piece of art. And we have this sculpture done by artist I've used before, Jake Jobsha. Jake is a stone carver. He is doing a work of art right now in the city of Melissa. And I will add they're paying him $100,000, so he's not a cheap artist. He's a very good artist. Now, we were going to place that. I don't know how to change it, but here's a rendering of the picture of the building. And we show a sculpture right here. And we're gonna place that work of art there. And we need at least a 10-foot setback to be able to avoid the social issues, to provide the work of art. We propose 15 feet. In my view, and in the view of all the architects I've used over the years, if you articulate building, it adds more interest than having one monotonous storefront. Your Barrett building here is set back. I know there are others. So we're asking that we be able to set that building back. I live with 10 feet. I've asked for 15, 10 fine, but I do need 10 feet to set that building back. I ask for your approval, please.
How deep are those awnings? The awnings, how deep are they?
4 feet.
4 feet, okay.
Where's the owl pole in the rendering?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it's not in the rendering. You know, the artist, he always takes a little bit of license. And he left out the pole.
Because that building might fall down since it's not there anymore.
And do you have any rear elevations to show on that building? Like a balcony or a fire escape or anything?
You mean on the new building of the building?
Uh-huh.
No,
Okay,
no, there is the door on the right-hand side goes upstairs to the loft apartment, and then there'll be a door in the back on the left-hand side, but there's no balcony. The awning is the only thing that protrudes out, and the lion heads that were reclaiming from the city.
okay. And so how far in will it be at the back?
From the back alley, it's 20 feet.
Okay. To allow for parking and,
Possibly, but it's turning out we have tenants for the building. The retail stores, and they will be taking deliveries in the front.
right,
So it could be parking, but it will more likely be delivery space.
right. And will the back be bricked?
Yeah, the back is brick. It will have the same brick in the front, and it won't have the lions and the precast, but it will be all brick, red brick.
Ms. Dow, do we have any input from our streetscape designers about this setback?
No, I didn't ask them. I know that he's got intention of coordinating with them. I think you've asked for some matching brick there in front.
Yes, the same papers that you use here on your street will be what the surface of the setback. We will have potted plants there, we will have benches there, we'll have art there.
Donna, for clarification, everything that we're seeing here, is this what we are being asked to approve today? In other words, will he be coming back with these exact same window designs, door designs, or is this set? You understand what I'm saying? Like, will he come back
Yeah.
to be approved for certain size windows, these type windows? Or are we just approving, what are we approving today? Do you understand what I'm asking?
What we're planning on building is what you see. And those will be the bronze frame tinted windows on the front. But they will be the side. Those windows are 6 feet tall, 3 feet wide.
Is that
And
cast concrete over the upper windows?
yes, ma'am, that is precast. that again, the city is donating, they came off of one of your historic buildings that we're going to reuse above the upstairs windows.
Of course, we would all welcome a beautiful structure in that space.
It's a beautiful structure, beautiful design.
And it does in fact set a precedent for moving back of the linear streetscape. However, to my mind, it creates, one, visual diversity. I like that. Two, it would make something that's kind of an eyesore into something that is attractive. We know the quality of your work. Ms. Dow, did we have any input from the state apropos to the setback and the setback not being consistent with the line of the other facades?
Yes, they, I included some information in the package, and they agreed with that. However, you know, they said it's not a sword they would fall on, so.
And
Fellow board members?
may I add one thing? When I bought this lot, we presented this plan to the city, and this is what they approved. And I say approved, they knew the setback was there. They knew we were planning on artwork there. So hopefully I appreciate, I hope y'all can improve it. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate your continued commitment to the beauty of our downtown. Thank you.
Donna, I believe in the D3, the original renderings of the D3, that particular address had a setback.
Yeah,
in the
it
design.
was way back.
It was way back.
Yeah, and they had the same comments about that.
Madam Chair, I'm so sorry. If the board has any questions for the city when talking with Mr. Day, Mayor Dodd is here too and can provide
You know what, and
insight.
thank you, Councilman Hager, thank you, Mayor Don, for being here. We appreciate your presence, we appreciate your commitment to our town. And of course, we welcome anything that you might want to add or contribute. Good afternoon.
Thank you. My name is Janet Gott. My address is 3012 Bell Avenue, Denison, Texas. I ask for people to say their name and address for the record, so I must do that, right? We are so incredibly, as a council, I can only speak for the council, excited about the addition of this building. This was what is happening on this lot. Not only closes up a gap that we've had on Main Street for many, many years, it also saves nearly $400,000 that we were going to spend on the Pocket Park, which almost puts us back in the black in terms of the streetscape because of all the rock that we found on Houston Avenue. So those are the dollars and cents about it. The other part of it is that Mr. Day is going to incorporate some of the historical elements from the Waples Platter Building, which will bring some of our history that we lost back to Main Street. If you haven't had the opportunity to look at this sculpture, you really should. It is an amazing piece of art that reflects our history and also highlights our future. If you look at this lovely woman, who I think she comes from 1872, I don't know what Mr. Day intended, but you know, this is in my mind's eye. And she's taking a selfie with a cell phone, which our yellow jacket is trying to get into the picture. So it reflects the core of our community spirit. So to set this building back 10 feet so this sculpture can be included on our Main Street, I really do not like this terminology, but I'm going to say it anyway, is simply a no-brainer. So I think that we get the opportunity to create some texture, some interest, and make an otherwise vacant spot that has been an eyesore for so many years to become a magnificent new building on our main street. And just so you know, before the Mar building was built, there probably has not been a new building on Main Street in the last, how many, Brian? 50 years? So this, to me, is a gift to our community. So I would, if this is appropriate, I would strongly suggest that you approve this setback.
We so welcome your being here. Mr. Day, I just have one question, and I'm just curious. The scale of the sculpture relative to the building?
The sculpture will sit on a concrete base, it's approximately 4 foot by 4 foot. It will be up about 3 foot. And then the sculpture will be, it's life-size, but it's cut off just below the waist. So I'm guessing it will be up approximately 4 feet above the pedestal.
7 or 8 feet then?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. A motion?
Mr. Day, I have a quick question too. Would you, would you be okay with any other permanent elements that you'd like to eventually put in front? Those would need to come before the Historic Preservation Board as well, correct?
I'm having trouble understanding you, but I think you actually more art up there.
If you're, yes, if you wanted to install another element,
Yes, we know we want the sculpture. We know we want this to be a special place. So if there are other things that will enhance downtown and the building, we're all for it.
okay, great, thank you. Well, I make a motion to approve the new construction with the brick facade and historic elements at 226 West Main, with the following condition that any other permanent elements be brought before the Historic Preservation Board.
And at some appropriate time, we will see the rear facade as well, correct? We'll see the renderings of the rear facade.
Okay.
Once again, Mr. Day, thank you for your commitment to our city.
I second.
Councilperson.
I second.
Councilperson, thank you for your commitment to our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did y'all finish the vote?
We did.
I'm
So we
sorry,
need to,
sorry, Ms. Martin, thank you for keeping us on task.
She made the motion and I second.
Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Thank you, sir.
Now, that did or did not include the public art?
That did include the statue.
Okay, I didn't have it on the agenda, but we have a process that goes through the design committee and you guys.
So shall we then have the design committee look at, approve the sculpture and come back to that at a separate time? What do you-
Well, I think it's fine. I don't think there's any certain process that needs to happen first, just that they both need to approve it.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Maybe I can get a picture of that for approval.
Thank you. It would be lovely, if it's appropriate, once things have moved further on, if we could actually display the maquette in this building as you move along. That would be lovely. Thank you.
Okay. The 700 West Main? Okay. The Piazza Construction Trailer is requesting temporary location at 700 West Woodard, just across from Hickory House there on that corner. It's going to be tucked into that corner, so if we have any other things going on, it won't interfere. And it would be 8 by 40, and that's a picture of what it would look like. And it would have signage on it like that. if you have any questions, I can answer those.
No questions? Motion? Make a motion to approve the location of the trailer at 700 West Woodard.
Second.
Call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I have no staff updates.
And the Historic Preservation Board will meet in our regular meeting next week on Tuesday. And we welcome all of you here today and at that meeting also if you would like to join us. Given no other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I just want to do this one time.